Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back with you on this beautiful Saturday evening, the 21st of March, 2026, 32 minutes past the hour of 11 p.m. That we do come to you live from Kampala, Uganda. We hope you've had a wonderful weekend, that you've been enjoying the weekend action that has been coming your way. As we speak, there's plenty of games going on. Nice against PSG is ongoing. Sevilla against Valencia is on, as well as Juventus against Sassuolo. In the Premier League, there is a game between Brentford and Leeds United. That game is on as well. As we speak, it is still goalless. I think, is it? I need to cross-check and confirm, because it looks like the one I'm watching is miles behind. But yeah, I hope you're okay. We're into the 32nd minute of that one of play in that final game of Saturday on this day of the on match day 31 of the Premier League. Of course, action will continue tomorrow with two games from the same match day. Newcastle in the Trainware Derby against Sunderland, while we'll have a game between Tottenham Hotspur and Nottingham Forest, as well as there's another game Aston Villa against West Ham. So that will be on as well. So make sure you do not miss out on any of that action from your favorite teams, or in case you have any team that will be playing. Then also we'll have the finals of the EFL Cup in as far as English football is concerned. The game between Juventus and Sassuolo has headed into halftime, with Juventus having a 1-0 lead thanks to that 14th minute goal by Kenan Yildiz, the young Turk there, firing Juventus into the lead. So earlier on, AC Milan had to grind it out, by the way, to win by 3-2 against Torino, while Cremonese went to Parma and won away by 2-0. Parma under the charges of former Arsenal assistant coach in Carlos Cuesta. Then we'll be talking about the top four race. Possibly chances are with Arsenal, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, and Crystal Palace into the quarterfinals of their respective European competitions. They are in very, very high chances that the Premier League will get 5 slots for the UEFA Champions League next season. So we'll look at the top 4 race, or top 5. A race in which Liverpool and Chelsea have lost again today, or they've continued to drop points. So for those of you that are just joining us, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is my name. I come to you from Kampala, Uganda. Yes, I'm joining you from Kampala, Uganda. It's 35 minutes past the hour of 11 p.m. Do let me know where you're joining us from. Leave me a comment down in the comment section. If it is your first time here, please consider subscribing to the channel, but also liking the broadcast as well, and help support what we do, help support this channel by doing those very, very simple things. Click the subscribe button, turn your notifications on, like the broadcast, and help support what we do here on the Football Tribe UG channel. I can see we have a comment from somebody. Is it Carl or Cool? I think it's Carl. You say, where you from, bro? I'm from Uganda. We have somebody called Morales, says G. Good evening. How are you, Morales? I don't know if English is your cup of tea, but you will allow me address you as such, because it's a Onion language through which I customarily address people on here, unless otherwise. Have been given the rare opportunity to learn a couple of languages on here, but it came with a bit of it was a bit of a double-edged sword. People will trick me into saying words that are unworthy to my audience. So I gave up on that route. So anyways, we'll be talking about that with Chelsea and Liverpool dropping points today in the Premier League, joining Manchester United, who yesterday shared the spoils in a 2-2 draw against FC Bournemouth. Okay. So then we'll also, don't forget, tomorrow we have the Madrid Derby is also happening. So plenty of things are happening or this weekend. And remember, it's the final weekend before we head into the March international break. And then action or football will not return until after the Easter weekend. So that is what is happening. That's the significance of this weekend. I want to say a happy belated Eid Mubarak to all the Muslims who celebrated their special day yesterday. And I know that for the Christians, your Easter weekend is around the corner. Soon or later, you'll equally be celebrating that. Somebody called Bagat, yes, it reads Bagat Singh, says, "How are you? How are you from?" First of all, I'm fine, but I'm from Kampala, Uganda. Thanks for asking. In case you're asking where I'm coming to you live from, so yeah, that's the update. Really, Football Tribe UG channel is a football channel. It's a sports channel. We do focus on football, and if you want to find out more what it is we often discuss, feel free to go to the channel under the video section, under the live section, under the short section, and get to acclimatize yourself with our environment, watch our content, leave us a comment down in the comment section, and oh, wow, that was a beautiful goal to the near post by Kenan Yildiz. So that's what we are all about. So, and on that note, therefore, by the way, I wish to say thank you to all our new subscribers that have recently subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for choosing to be part of the Football Tribe UG channel. We do appreciate your efforts of choosing to be part and parcel of this forum. So quickly, without wasting much of your time, Jesus Christ. I'm trying to follow. I'm watching about 4 games, actually 4 games at the same time. Although my attention is being primarily on 3: Juventus versus Sassuolo, Sevilla versus Valencia, and PSG versus Nice. And yet I want to talk to you guys about the Premier League as well. Like I told you, that game between Brentford and Leeds is ongoing. However, I constantly have a lackluster in my feed. I do not know why that is the case, because that game should be in its 39th minute, thereabout, almost heading to halftime. So, anyways, in today's results, Chelsea have been humbled, being thumped by 3-0 against Everton. Beto with a brace and an assist there, as well as Ilman Ndiaye on target. 35-year-old Danny Welbeck scored a brace as Brighton beat up against Liverpool by 2-1. Milos Kakes picking up the consolation in that one, which was an equalizer at the time. Then Fulham beat up against Burnley, a 10-man Burnley by 3-1. Raul Jimenez from the penalty spot, Harry Wilson among the goal scorers in that one. Burnley took the lead, but they quickly lost it. So, and that does not help their pursuit to fight against relegation. I think the writing is on the wall that possibly Burnley and Wolves, their fate is almost certain or sealed, that they will be relegated to the championship next season. So that is what is happening in that regard. So quickly, let's begin with Liverpool. First of all, going into this fixture, there was high hope in this Liverpool side, given their tremendous or industrious performance against Galatasaray. Very convincing performance that we did witness. Oh, is that Hugo Duro? Yeah, Hugo Duro has scored for Valencia. They lead against Sevilla by 1-0. So that's what is happening. So, like I was saying about Liverpool, I thought, and I said this as a reservation in the preview for that particular game, that usually when teams have played in Europe in midweek, they tend to struggle during the weekend because they've used majority of their key starters in European competition. So when they come up against teams that have not had midweek action, the Brightons of this world, teams like Everton, when you come up against teams like Brentford, teams like AFC Bournemouth, you're sort of bound to struggle because these guys are more fresh. They have the energy. Hi, John Abiero. I thank you for always choosing to join us. So the rest have energy. So in terms of athleticism, in terms of the length of 90 minutes, they're bound to do a number on you. They are bound to have that bit of a slight edge. So oftentimes you have to capitalize on all your chances, on all the chances that you may get. And if you do not do that, then you're bound to be punished at some point or the other. And practically that's what we saw today when Brighton were beating up against Liverpool. Liverpool in midweek earlier on beating up against Galatasaray by 4-0, a game that they should have won with even an even bigger scoreline because you had a goal for. So you had Mohamed Salah miss a penalty in that one. You had a goal ruled out by McAllister, a goal that I thought should have stood. And then the Galatasaray goalkeeper, Kaki, was really, really tremendous in that game. He had a very, very beautiful performance, really. So meanwhile, the Valencia goal is yet to be confirmed. The referee is saying, hold on, there's still a review ongoing. Sevilla I have one of those familiar faces in Alexis Sanchez. For those of you that remember his stint at Inter Milan, at Arsenal, at Manchester United, at Barcelona, at Udinese. So really, anyway, game has resumed and that goal has been confirmed. So really, for me, Liverpool, they had some poor defending. When you look at Ibrahim Konate, how he does not compete well for that ball that is being hit back across goal. Virgil van Dijk sort of ball watches. I think maybe he judged that the ball was above his height, even if he had jumped. So he sort of lets it go by and thinks maybe as it is dipping in, Ibrahim Konate is going to deal with that. Now, Ibrahim Konate gets a little slight of a push, I think, from Danny Welbeck before he heads it into the back of the net. And it sort of looked like a lapse in concentration in terms of defending, because as a defender, as a centre back, you must be able to go toe to toe with the striker, in this case, Danny Welbeck. And it's not like you're dealing with a Lewis Dunk who is 6'4". You're dealing with a Danny Welbeck. I don't think he's even 6 feet. Oh, wow! What a save! What a save. Kivica Kvaratskhelia was this close to giving PSG the lead in that game. So, but it remains goalless between Nice and Paris Saint-Germain. Wow. They're showing you that Valencia goal. There was a very, very thunderous strike that the Sevilla goalkeeper kept out. But on the rebound, Hugo Duro was there to keep it out in that regard. So, anyways, back to the conversation regarding Liverpool. You'll indulge me. I'm really trying my best. Danny Welbeck scores in the 14th minute, and it's 1-0. And then Milos Kakes restores parity because the Brighton captain in Lewis Dunk tried to head the ball backwards, flicking it back to his goalkeeper, and then, unbeknown to him, Milos Kakes was alert to the moment, and he sort of intercepts it, bang, he scores to make an equalizer. And he had a couple of moments. The real Tals says hi to you, the real Tals. Good to have you on the podcast. I think it's my first time seeing you here, so kindly do me the absolute honor of liking the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much. Where are you joining us from? The real Tals. So Kakes intercepts that ball and he scores to restore parity. And all throughout the game, by the way, Lewis Dunk went on to have those moments on more occasions than one, because there's a ball that he chested. He tried to chest it back to his goalkeeper, but Verbruggen, and Verbruggen had to really scramble to keep it out, and it went out for a corner. Then there's another header that he still flicked back to him. That one wasn't intercepted. Are you watching a match? Yes, I'm watching a match. So it's I don't want to call it a bit of a watch along, because I'm following multiple games, but I'm watching the game between Valencia and Sevilla. I'm watching the game between PSG and Nice, while I'm watching the game between Sassuolo and Juventus, as well as keeping my eye out on the game between Leeds United and Brentford. Now, that one I'm not actively per se watching. I'm simply trying to follow the updates because I can only sacrifice Solito with my screens. Really. So, and it's not the kind of game that one would be desperate to watch. Leeds versus Brentford. Leeds still fighting against relegation. Yes, they're not in those relegation places, but their points are not too far away from those relegation numbers because they are just about a point or two above the likes of Tottenham Hotspur, Nottingham Forest, West Ham, that are within that sort of mix. You say, hi, Uncle. This is oh, Ban. Yes, Ban is. Hi, Uncle. Hope you're having a nice day. Thank you so much, Ban. Good to have you back as always. It's a pleasure to see you. There's an incident that is being reviewed, I think, for possible penalty in the PSG game against Nice. There appears to have been a handball during the set piece play or the corner kick play in that game. So the referee has been sent to the monitor, and that incident is being reviewed. Oh, come on. I don't know. It appears the penalty has been awarded. It appears the penalty has been awarded, and still trying to find out who is stepping up to take it. Is it Nuno Mendes? That's a bit harsh. That's a bit harsh. But it is what it is. So, yeah. So Liverpool, yeah, Nuno Mendes is the player that has stepped up. Let's watch the penalty before we proceed with the conversation. Here he comes. Goal. Sends the goalkeeper in the opposite direction and puts it in the bottom corner. Sweet finish. 1-0 to PSG. PSG, by the way, come into this fixture when they, I think, 2 points behind RC Lens, who are leading the table with 2 games in hand, this inclusive. So if PSG win this one, they'll go back within a 1-point difference at the summit of the French League One with a game to spare. So that is what is happening with the French League One reigning champions, who have won it, I think, for 4 consecutive seasons now. The last team to sort of stop them from winning it was in 2021. That was Lille, under the charges of Christopher Galatia, then, who also went and managed PSG before he left to pave the way for Luis Enrique. So anyways, so yeah, Liverpool did not give us that bounce of that freshness, that energy, that relentlessness that we saw them attack against Galatasaray. We did not see it. I do not know where the minds were at, because even when teams play in midweek, they at least will give you a very good first half or at least a good second half. For Liverpool, it never felt like they gave us anything worth, so good in that game. So really, then the game went into halftime, 1-1, and then in the second half, very early on, in I think about 11 minutes after the restart, Danny Welbeck, thanks to thanks to a simple pass by Jack Henshwood, he scored to make it 2-1. Now, there's a possible offside check. Now, you see Henshwood in play with the ball, and Danny Welbeck, both players ahead of the centre backs. Now, if Danny Welbeck had been ahead of the ball, he would have been in an offside position. But because he stays behind the ball, he is not judged to be in an offside position. So, in that run, because the moment when Jack Henshwood receives the ball, they're still onside. Then they run into that sort of phase, So, hi, LFC. Good to have you back. You say watching the Leeds match. Not actively watching, just keeping up with the updates from that game. sad about Liverpool today. Sad indeed for you. Perhaps next time better. But I thought today was a key opportunity for you to capitalize on Chelsea's laps or before Chelsea played. Manchester United had dropped points the day before, so I thought you are going to capitalize on that, but you did not. Rexto, is it Rexter says, "What did I miss about Chelsea? You missed two horrendous mistakes from the goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez. So we're going to get in the bit of that. He did not paint himself in any glory. Today you missed some shambolic defending from that Chelsea side. You missed to watch the lack of cohesiveness in that Chelsea midfield. So, and as more question marks mount about Liam Rosenior. So that is what you missed. So in other words, the goal stood. Danny Welbeck scoring his 12th goal of the season. That's the most he scored in a Premier League season for all the years he's played in the Premier League. Remember, he played for Manchester United. He played for Arsenal. He went on to play for what team? When he left Arsenal, what team did he play for? Because he now plays for Brighton, where he's been for quite some time. And at the age of 35 years, he looks like he's hit his prime. He scored 12 goals thus far this season with that brace today. And I saw a tweet from what's his name, Manchester United legend in Rio Ferdinand, saying that Danny Welbeck must be in the English squad for the World Cup. And to be fair, he does deserve to be there. He's the highest English goal scorer in the Premier League. Second to him is Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who scored 10 goals for Leeds United, unless he does score a brace tonight to equal what Danny Welbeck has done. So yeah, and of course Harry Kane plays in the German Bundesliga. So, but even when you go all around Europe, he will come second to Harry Kane, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin will come third. So when Danny Welbeck left Arsenal in 2019 after a 5-year spell with the club, he joined Watford, where he spent one season before leaving to join Brighton and Hove Albion. He did have a very, very poor sort of a career at Watford. He played for them about 18 games, and he scored only 2 goals. So his best career ever has come at Brighton and Hove Albion, where he scored 45 goals, I think, or 47 should be, thus far, in more than 160 appearances. So he's doing good. Hi, Daniel Triton. I hope you're doing okay. So yeah, that's the update from that regard. Meanwhile, Valencia have already scored to make it 2-0 against Sevilla in that game. So quickly, away from the shenanigans, before we sum up this Liverpool performance. So Brighton had 7 shots on target compared to Liverpool's 5. 7 shots off target for Brighton compared to Liverpool's 4. Liverpool dominated possession to the tune of 53% compared to 47% of Brighton. But again, you can see how it was a bit marginal. And Anna Slot has already said I got asked to join the Bournemouth account. What's a Bournemouth account? I don't even know what that is. What would you do? I don't know what to say to you because I don't know what a Bournemouth account is. So that PSG game has headed into halftime as we speak. So yeah. Like I was saying, I did not think that Liverpool ever gave us the impression that they were close to winning that game. Not really. So, and for quite some time, Bournemouth Academy, unfortunately, I cannot draw for you the comparisons because you say you play for the Sant Academy, and I do not know if the Bournemouth Academy is better than the one you are currently at. So that's the question you should be asking yourself is the one you are at better than the one that is offering you a deal, or vice versa? So if one of that is true, then it should be guiding your decision. Of course, other factors kept constant, considering as meanwhile, Sassuolo have scored to make it 1-1 against Juventus in the 6th minute or 7th minute of the second half. So it's 1-1 apiece in that one. He said, Daniel says, bye to you too. So Anna Slot has already said this. He is sort of made this argument constantly that they come up against teams that want to play long balls, rely on set pieces. They do not give you so much space. There's little creativity in the game. They came up against a team that is so contrary to all those things, and yet they still could not win. They could not still create loads of chances to win the game. And it's a bit unfortunate if you're a Liverpool fan. And by the way, this is a game that had so many yellow cards. Brighton had 5 yellow cards. Liverpool had 4. Hugo Ekitike, unfortunately, had to be substituted off in the 8th minute for Curtis Jones for an injury. So that's some bad news. Remember, Liverpool, after the international break, they have to play Manchester City in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Then after that, they'll go to France and play PSG, then return home in the Premier League before meeting PSG again the subsequent week. So that performance has also been indicative of this Liverpool side that we've watched all season, that they will come and give you a brilliant performance on UEFA Champions League night, then return to the Premier League against what you deem to be a lesser opponent, and then they fizzle out. So that's sort of been their story all throughout the campaign, that's been their story all throughout the campaign. So really, it's a little bit concerning that if you're a Liverpool fan, must I say. Anyways, moving away from the Liverpool shenanigans, quickly on the Burnley Fulham game, because that was a game that came up next. Fulham winning that one by 3-1. Is it called Zane Fleming scored to give Burnley the lead. That was at the 1 hour mark, while Joshua King scored to make it 1-1, and then Harry Wilson through a Joshua King assist scored to make it 2-1. Harry Wilson is one of those players that you really enjoy or love to watch play. I was thinking about him the other day, and I thought to myself, he's the kind of player that I would consider having in my Premier League team of the season. Of course, it's not ultimate for him, but he's had such a brilliant season, really. I mean, 10 goals, 6 assists, that in 29 appearances. I do not know even how up to date that statistic is, if it does include what he's managed to post today, in terms of today's numbers, that goal that he does score. So he's really been brilliant. Harry Wilson. Let me see if the Premier League has some better numbers. If I can find him. Yes, Harry Wilson. Let me see if I can find something on his profile. Come on. I want something carried. Stats. Okay. For this season. Yeah. 29 appearances, 10 goals, and 6 assists. So for me, that's the kind of player I would want to see in my Premier League team of the season. In fact, I put him ahead of the likes of Brian Chucky. I'd go as far as putting him ahead of even Bruno Fernandes, if let's say I wanted him to play my number 10 role. And the reason particularly for that is because he's playing for Fulham. So that this is going to come out during the course of the international break. That's when I hope to do this video about my best 11 of the Premier League. But he is a name that I'm really considering, Harry Wilson, in my team. To put him now. No disrespect to Bruno Fernandes, he's been really tremendous thus far. But I mean, he's just been impressive. those goals, 10 goals, 6 assists, that's a 16 goal involvement. Now, I understand Bruno Fernandes has a what? A 20, he has 8 goals and about 16 assists. That's a 24 goal involvement. And I mean, that's really good. Those are impressive numbers to have, really, in 28 appearances. So it's really impressive. It's really, really impressive. Let me see. Out of those, for Bruno Fernandes, 6 are penalties. When it comes to his assists, 11 of them are from set pieces. Not that it makes a whole difference, but when you compare it to Harry Wilson, none of his goals are from penalties. So that sort of tells you how effective he is in the final third when it comes to scoring for you a goal. And he's been quite a spark of light. And I'm going to have a very, very big debate about that. In fact, it may force me to play with the back three in terms of my, backline. I'm really considering playing a back three just to accommodate Harry Wilson in that team and I play with 2 number 10s. So I have some ideas on who my midfield double pivot will be. Then the 2 number 10s. Is that how you okay? Not 2 number 10s. Abdul says, "Hi buddy, why don't you join Islam? Why don't I join Islam? Because I've been raised Christian all my life. So it's not that easy. It's not like how you wake up and say, I'm going to wear this shirt. It's not that simple, a decision to make. But thank you so much, Abdul. Sorry. Yes, Abdul, for joining the broadcast. Hope you're doing okay. So yeah, Harry Wilson was among the goal scorers today for Fulham. And then that penalty from Raul Jimenez, like I told you. You say, at least read the Quran, bro. Jesus is mentioned there many times. I know you call him, is he the one you call Prophet Isa? I stand to be corrected. Just read one chapter. It's called Maryam. I do not have, anyway, I'll have to look for the Quran, the English version of the Quran, and perhaps, but thank you so much, Abdul, for the recommendation. I'll take that under consideration. So yeah, so a very, very beautiful performance from Harry Wilson. I mean, he did well to test Martin Dubravka in the Burnley goal, and yeah, at the end of the day, it was a good performance from that Fulham side, who had gone a goal down, and they had to dig themselves up. Those 3 points take them to 44 points. And by the way, when you look at the Premier League log, 44 points, that means that Fulham are only 4 points behind Chelsea in 6th place. So, in other words, European place or European competitions are still inside for them. So if Marco Silva can push his team over the line, maybe, just maybe, thinking out loud, because look at Chelsea. Chelsea are dropping points literally for fun, and they have some really, really difficult games coming up in their remaining 7 games, because they have to play Manchester City, they have to play Man United, they have to play Tottenham Hotspur, they have to play Liverpool, they have to play Nottingham Forest, and Tottenham Hotspur and Nottingham Forest are 2 teams that are fighting against relegation, so you wouldn't want to face them. Manchester City still count themselves in the title race, as not just counting themselves, but they are still in the title race. Manchester United are pursuing a top 4 finish or a 3rd place finish, at least on the Premier League table. Perhaps if they can be even more consistent, maybe even 2nd is an option, because they are closer to 2nd place than I think they are to being sort of. I need to have a closer look at the Premier League table in that regard. But the point I'm trying to make is that when Yes. So, for example, Man United are 6 points behind Manchester City. Of course, Man City have a game in hand, but that's the same number of points that Liverpool in fifth place are behind of Man United. So you can see. And in fact, they are closer to Man City than they are to Chelsea, who are in sixth place. Chelsea, who are also trying to qualify for Europe. So those are the dynamics, really. Okay. So the next game will be, of course, after the international break, they have a game against Port Vale in the FA Cup quarterfinals. Then they play Man City. They'll play Man United. They'll play away to Brighton. They'll play Nottingham Forest. They'll play away to Liverpool. They'll play Tottenham Hotspur at home and complete the season away to Sunderland. So you can see how difficult that run of fixtures is. And if you're a Chelsea fan, you ought to be concerned whether your team can actually qualify for UEFA Champions League. Because as unserious as Liverpool look, you may find that they have a slightly easier run of games in comparison to Chelsea. So I just thought that's something that Chelsea need to think about. Speaking of Chelsea, they got smashed today by 3-0 at Everton. James Garner providing the assist, I think his sixth assist of the season, as Beto scored in the 33rd minute to give Everton the lead. Now, again, in typical Chelsea fashion, James Garner plays that midfield midfield defensive line splitting pass. The pass is played in between Wesley Fofana and Joel Hato, and Beto runs in through them and he scores. And that's the same sort of goal that they conceded over the weekend against Newcastle in that 1-0 defeat at Stamford Bridge. And I'm thinking to myself, can't you cut it out? You must have worked on cutting out such mistakes. Then we get to the second half. There's a blind pass whose target is Enzo Fernandez. Now, Enzo Fernandez and Marco Cucurella are running towards the same ball because Idris Kanagay is coming to it. And then he makes off it, he sort of gets there to the ball faster than they can. And then he goes in between both of them and they look at each other in blaming. And of course, he goes on a counter-attack. He passes the ball to Beto, who strikes it first time, and it goes in between the legs of Robert Sanchez. It was a bit of a hollow moment for Robert Sanchez as he conceded his second on the night. And then later on, Beto goal scorer turned provider in the 76th minute as Iliman Ndiaye scored to make it 3-0. So a very poor performance from Chelsea. Everton had as many as 9 shots on target. On the other side, Guleda, Ahmed says, good job. Hi, Ahmed. Thank you so much for joining us. Kindly like the broadcast, but also if it's your first time here, please consider subscribing to the channel. So, just had a poor performance. I mean, they considered as many as 9 shots on target from Everton. Now, Chelsea had 4 shots on target. Jordan Pickford was forced into a brilliant double save, but it's the second on the rebound from Enzo Fernandez. And then in the second half, because I think it took about 15 minutes into the second half or even 16 or thereabout for Chelsea to have their first attempt on target in the second half. And it came through Enzo Fernandez. He tried to curl that ball to the far post, but Jordan Pickford rose to the occasion and put it out. So on the other side, you could say Jordan Pickford was the difference, but also Chelsea did not create that many clear-cut chances that you could sort of look onto and say, yeah, in this moment, you must have scored, you should have scored. But take nothing away from Jordan Pickford for those 2 brilliant saves. So at the end of the day, Chelsea edging possession to the tune of 64%. But that's just how Everton play. They do not need to have majority possession. They don't need to be on the ball plenty of times to hurt you. the team that will play on the counter-attack, the team that will rely on a set piece if it is available to them, and the team that just do not concede that many goals, by the way. Everton are one of those teams that just do not concede one too many goals, really. Ahmed says, Sema, Abid, bro, Mimi, ni Arsenal. You support Arsenal. Okay. What's your prediction for tomorrow's Carabao Cup final game between Arsenal and Manchester City at Wembley Stadium? Do let me know. So with that victory, Everton have moved within 2 points behind Chelsea in 7th place. As you can see, they've scored 37 goals. They do not score that many and have conceded 35. Now, that leaves them a goal difference of 2. But when I say they do not concede too many, of course, there are teams that have conceded less than them, but those teams should be about 3. That's Arsenal, who have conceded 22, Manchester City, who have conceded 32. Manchester City have conceded 28. Then who else has conceded fewer than Everton? Everton have the joint third best defense, I think, in the Premier League, with Sunderland and Crystal Palace. They've all conceded 35 goals. The flip side for Everton is that they do not score many, just as much as Aston Villa, by the way. Aston Villa have only scored 40 goals this season and have conceded 37. So they have a goal difference of 3 goals only. Very, very, concerning, really. So, but it is what it is on that front. But yeah, Ahmed, give us your predictions for Arsenal versus Manchester City. But speaking about Chelsea, I mean, all these questions are going to continue to be raised against or about Liam Rosinia for as long as the results are not coming. I am one of those who believes without a reasonable doubt that Chelsea made a blunder in parting ways with Enzo Maresca over what I term to be petty reasons, in my humble opinion. It's not like they had irreconcilable differences that they could not, overcome, that sort of situation. I thought it's something that they could have resolved with these things to do with the independent medical department that is giving recommendations or telling the manager on how many minutes a player returning from injury should be playing and things like that. Now, I understand the description for the Chelsea gaffer might be head coach, which comes with certain limitations thereabout. But be that as of it may, as a medical team, yours are recommendations. And you stop at that. You cannot go ahead to try and enforce, and try to be in the head coach's ears all the time to say, we told you Cole Palmer can only play 15 minutes today. He's played 30 and what you're doing is wrong. No. You can't get into that. But I thought they could have resolved their differences and moved on with him. I mean, he's a manager that had won them 2 cups in a space of within a year, and that's sort of achievement capital enough to keep a manager in his job. Look at Mikel Arteta. He won the FA Cup in his first season, and that was triumph capital that bought him an extra 2 years of a clean slate without sort of almost being untouched, because in his first full season, he finishes 8th, and we know the performances we were wanting. We know the results we were wanting. There's a run of 10 games where they win only 1 fixture against Man United. Then the subsequent season, they lose the first 3 games of the season. They end up finishing 5th, which was, of course, a significant improvement from where they had finished the season prior to that. So, but you can see how the importance of that piece of silverware in terms of his bosses believing that he is a capable guy, and we can't stick with him. We roll in the mud with him, even when as own fans or supporters go against the decision, we'll stick by him because we believe in his capabilities. We believe in his ideas and where he's taking this project. But Chelsea decided to part ways with him. So today you see a sort of disjointed team. You could see the frustration on Enzo Fernandez on his face. a player that has been rumored to have come out and say that, they do not understand Liam Rostinier's tactics, a player that has, although the club said he was his words may have been misconstrued, but he said they have 8 games left to play, then the World Cup, and then after that he'll sort of decide his future or where it will see. Meanwhile, PSG have scored through Desli Doué to make it 2-0 in the second half. A beautiful, beautiful goal there from Desli Doué. Looks like PSG, if nothing changes, are on course to win this fixture. Meanwhile, for the Juventus against Sassuolo game, that game is in the 72nd minute. It's 1-1 as we speak. Oh, Manuel Locatelli tried to, attempted the through ball there. It just did not materialize. So, who is this? Oh, is that Nuno Mendes? Oh, Nuno Mendes with the beautiful assist. The pre-assist from Kivica Kvaratskhelia. I mean, beautiful, beautiful goal there. So, yeah. So, that's it from that side. Guna C says, good evening, mate. Big up to you. Your predictions for the final tomorrow. I think City win 3-0. Well, my prediction is a 2-1 victory for the Arsenal for the Carabao Cup final. In case you want to hear all my thoughts in the preview, please go over to the channel under the video section. You'll see the preview for that particular fixture. In any case, I can try and fetch for you the link so that you can save it somewhere, and then you can go watch it after this broadcast, where I sort of put my cards on the table and I sort of lay down the reasons as to why I think Arsenal could go on to win it. First of all, okay, let me not give them just in a bit. We'll get to that game in a bit. But that's the link for the Carabao Cup final in terms of the preview. But one thing I can quickly point out to you is that Mikel Arteta has gone to Wembley 12 times as a player and as a manager, and he's never lost. It doesn't decide anything, but it's food for thought. We had a comment from somebody. Unfortunately, they seem to have deleted their comments. That person was called Verai or Vera. Is it Vera? I think it was Vera. Hi, Vera, wherever it is that you're joining us from. But yeah, so Chelsea, when you watch them play, other than that performance away to PSG for the first 70 minutes, in the last sort of 5 games, they did okay against Arsenal, even though they still lost. But now they've lost what? They've lost 5 of their last 6 games. Could be. Let me see. They lost to Arsenal. Then they won in the FA Cup. They lost to Newcastle. They lost to PSG ×2. They've lost today to Everton. So Everton, Newcastle, PSG twice, Arsenal. In between, they are winning the game against Wrexham. I mean, that's just one win in the last 6. It's not looking pretty for Liam Rostinien, and the pressure is going to keep piling because this is not Strasbourg. At Chelsea, there are expectations. You're expected to win. And he's not expected to win trophies. He's expected at least to win games at this stage in the season. At this stage in the season. And if he goes on to win a piece of silverware this season, because they're still in the FA Cup, well and good, and they have arguably the most favorable draw in the in the quarterfinals. Their game is against Port Vale. And if, let's say, Chelsea, you have Port Vale, let's say for the semi-final, you get whoever advances between West Ham and Leeds United, you could call that a favorable draw. Really, Arsenal on the other side, if they can get past Southampton, they could draw whoever comes through between Manchester City and Liverpool. So, anyways, the point is, Chelsea are not really playing well. First of all, they're defending poorly. Their midfield looks all over the place. At least today, they looked all over the place. They could not string that final pass. Cole Palmer had a poor performance, in my opinion. Moises Caicedo ended up, I think, at some point playing right back. Andre Santos came on and he was not the difference that you thought he would be, you know. So because they started with Malo Gusto, Marco Correa, Jurel Hatter, and Wesley Fofana. Romeo Lavia was in that midfield and Moises Caicedo. Romeo Lavia looked okay-ish, but because the result ended up being poor, the entire team looked poor. Pedro Neto, Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer, now Joao Pedro. Now, you withdraw Joao Pedro for Liam Delap. For me, that's part of giving up. Then Moises Caicedo was withdrawn later on for Tosin Aderabio. Tosin Aderabio, once he came on, then I think he went to play right back. Wesley Fofana ended up getting a yellow card. Pedro Neto was withdrawn for Willan Estaval, who looked to have who looked to bring a breath of fresh air in the game. He had one corner that went off the top of the crossbar. Then, Alejandro Garnacho came in for Malo Gusto, and he just could not click. He just could not get his game going. And at the end of the day, it did not feel like a good performance from Chelsea. It wasn't a good performance from Chelsea. So, yeah, that was about it with Chelsea, really. And they really, really need to do more. In the 11th minute, Robert Sanchez, he had a snafu, a bad moment where he gets caught up possession by Beto, and he was bailed out by Moises Caicedo, who came to his rescue. Otherwise, they're going to consider as early as the 11th minute, you know. So he had a bit of a nightmare of a performance. And so you go from the 11th minute moment, you come to the second goal. The first goal, I do not blame him that much, although you thought maybe if he had come out a little faster than he did, he could have salvaged the moment. But, but you see, usually when a team is performing poorly, everything is just not going to click. Everything is just not going to click. Whatever you do will feel like it's all falling apart. And by the way, if they do continue in this trajectory, I would not be surprised whatsoever, even though that's not what I would recommend, or that's not what I would wish to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if Tony Bolly and his partners decide to tell Liam Rasinia, it was nice knowing you. And then maybe they start looking to assess Fabregas, or we've had reports that they could consider going back in for Luis Enrique. I do not know if they would succumb to his terms and conditions if he were to manage a team like Chelsea, or they try and explore and go for a person like, Xabi Alonso. And you see, I don't know if it's just me, but I think there's going to come a point of time when elite managers may not want to come to Chelsea, as big a job as it is. And the reason for that is if you keep changing managers like you're changing underwear, people with their pedigree may not want to risk their reputation to the job. Up to this day, I still ask myself, why did Chelsea part ways with Mauricio Pochettino? What had he done so wrong in guiding them to a 5th place finish? What had he done so wrong? What was that? But because Enzo Maresca came in and he won those 2 trophies, and they qualified for Champions League, it almost felt justified, or they felt exonerated with their decision. But then halfway into his second season, then you sack him as well. And then you bring in Liam Rasinia. Now, based on the evidence that we have as of present day, there's no justification for Chelsea making that managerial change. Meanwhile, the game between Leeds United and Brentford is still goalless. Juventus here, game is into the 81st minute and still 1-1 against Sassuolo. So yeah. Anyways, so those were the results from today, and what the implications of those results are on the Premier League log is that Of course, Arsenal are not playing in the Premier League this weekend, nor Man City. Man City was supposed to play Crystal Palace this weekend. The other team that was supposed to play this weekend would have been Wolverhampton Wanderers, but they did play that rescheduled fixture against Arsenal. So they've so Man United are third. So Arsenal's first, 9 points lead, with Man City coming second at 61 points. They have a game in hand. Manchester United third with 55 points. Then Aston Villa fourth. Aston Villa play tomorrow against West Ham. They come fourth with 51 points. Then Liverpool is fifth with 49 points. Chelsea 48 points. Everton seventh with 46 points. Brentford come eighth with 45 points. They're playing as we speak. Fulham ninth with 44 points. Brighton and Hove Albion with 43 points. Meanwhile, Brighton have a decent run of form because they've won 4 of their last 5 games. So they're one of those informed teams thus far in the Premier League. Of course, there, in as far as things go, Wolverhampton Wanderers at the bottom of the table have lost only 1 in their last 5. That's an impressive run. So, anyways, that's how the outlook of the Premier League table in terms of the top 10. Then, when you look at from the bottom, it's of course Wolverhampton Wanderers 17 points from 31 games. Burnley second from bottom, 20 points. West Ham, 29 points after 30 games played. Tottenham Hotspur and Nottingham Forest come 17th and 16th, respectively. Nottingham Forest at 29 points, Tottenham Hotspur at 30 points. So that's why the relegation derby tomorrow is going to be really, really crucial. Meanwhile, Nice are about to be given a red card here because there's a dangerous tackle that has been reviewed by the referee, and Skip is turned into a straight red card. Wow. Nice are already losing by 2-0, and they've just had a man sent off. Yourself. Wow. It's one of those challenges where you go in with no intention to harm the opponent, but because you're late in the challenge, you sort of cause them harm in a way. So basically, that's how I can describe it for you. But it is sort of similar to that incident of Nicholas Jackson against Martin Terrier over Bayer Leverkusen last weekend, as they shared the spoils in a 1-1 draw in the German Bundesliga. Anyways, so moving on. Aguna talked about the Carabao Cup final. So, of course, if we got based on pedigree in terms of finals played, in terms of managerial seniority, in terms of experience, Pep Guardiola is Mikel Arteta is a no match to Pep Guardiola. So you would say on that part, or in that criteria, or in that category, the advantage lies with Manchester City. Then when it goes to current form, was that a handball? It doesn't look like it was a handball. Does that ball hit his arm? This is in the Juventus against Sassuolo game. It's on my screen on the side, so that's why I'm turning my head this side. Let's see what the verdict is for the referee. It did not appear like a handball, in my opinion. What's the verdict? Of course, I don't know Italian, so I wouldn't be able to listen, but it's just given Juventus a penalty. He's judged the defender to have handled the ball in the area. It does look harsh. Can Juventus get the leads against Sassuolo, who is stepping up to take the penalty? Is it Kenan Yildiz? Is it Manuel Locatelli? I think it's Manuel Locatelli, the captain. Arsenal wanted to sign him a couple of years ago, but could not get the deal off. Ended up at Juventus. Meanwhile, Desli Doe just forced the Nice goalkeeper here into an accidental save. The ball hit his face. The ball hit his face. Let's watch this penalty from Manuel Locatelli. Here he comes. Pressure penalty. They need the 3 points. Here he comes. Bang, it's served. The Sassuolo goalkeeper saves it. It remains 1-1. Meanwhile, PSG have made some changes. Ousmane Dembele and has come on, has been introduced, released as we speak. The Nice goalkeeper is still undergoing treatment for that incident that I told you about when he made the save against Desli Doué's attempt. The ball hit his face. So, okay, back to the Carabao Cup final. In the department of experience, finals played Manchester City. Pep Guardiola has that one in his locker or in his docket. Then on the other side, when you look at things like current form of the two sides or of the two teams, Arsenal in better form, because I think Arsenal have lost one game in the last 2 months. In the last 17 fixtures, really, they may have drawn 3 or 4 games. A draw against Brentford, a draw against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Which other one? You know? But, and by Leverkusen in the first leg of the round of 16 UEFA Champions League. So when it comes to form, Arsenal have it the better. Manchester City have not won in the last 5, I think. Because let's see, they lost to Real Madrid home and away. No, they've won 1 in the last 5. They lost to Real Madrid home and away in the Champions League. They drew their last 2 Premier League games against Nottingham Forest and against West Ham United. Their last win came against Newcastle in the FA Cup round of 16 or 50th round, you know. Sassuolo defending with their lives, and for what feels like a very long time, I can see Dusan Vlahovic in here. Can Juventus find the winning goal here? I don't know. Corner kick floated in, goes out. So when you bring all those things into consideration, then when it comes, Arsenal of course have better form, so they win that one. When it comes to what other criteria can you measure? History at Wembley. I think Arsenal have been a little bit lucky with Wembley, or they have some good luck at Wembley. They often do not lose there. They win there. In the last, I think in the last about 6, no. Let me see. That's 3 times. Okay. In the Arsenal, their last 3 Carabao Cup finals, they've lost those. In 2007, they lost to Chelsea by 2-1. In 2011, they lost to Birmingham City by 2-1. In 2018, they lost to Man City by 3-0. Perhaps that is what prejudices Gunnar to make the prediction that City could win 2-1. Sorry, 3-0, even though it could be his genuine prediction. I understand that. But because the last time Arsenal won this competition was in 1993, that was before even Arsene Wenger came, you know. So clearly, you can sort of understand where Arsenal fans' hesitation or reservations may be from. It's a competition, I think that they've won only what? A handful of times, maybe even just 3 times in their history. So while Manchester City won this cup on 4 consecutive times. So when you look at it and you think to yourself, you may really, really be inclined to go with Arsenal. Then the Mikel Arteta factor, like I've told you, he's not lost at Wembley. Then when you look at the last 6 meetings between Arsenal and Manchester City, of course, all this can be upsets. But when you look at the last 6 meetings between Manchester City and Arsenal, Man City have not won any. They've lost 3 and drawn 3. And on this particular occasion, there's no room for a draw. At the end of the day, we must have a winner by hook or crook. Whether it's normal time, extra time, penalties, we must have a winner at the end of the day. BBC have written a headline that if Liverpool play like that at PSG, it could be 10-0. That's how poor their performance was against Brighton. Oh, meanwhile, PSG thought they had scored the third through Ousmane Dembele, but that goal has been ruled out for offside. So far, I think it will go to a check. Is the check complete or we're still waiting on it? I think it is being checked before confirmation is given, but the linesman waved for an offside in the build-up to what would have been PSG's third goal. So yeah, for me, based on those factors, believing that Arsenal are in sort of a better moment, have that sort of confidence about them, that's where I feel they could nick it. That's where I feel they could nick it and win it. And also, Arsenal need this cup the more. They need more than Manchester City. They need it. I say this, Manchester City want it, Arsenal need it. Oh. Wow. Desiree Doué was close to getting a second of the evening. So back to the point, or back to my submission. Okay. No, come on. Jesus Christ. The game between Leeds and Brentford is still goalless. So no regrets there. So meanwhile, the one between Juventus and Sassuolo is still 1-1 in the 94th minute. 2 minutes left of added time. So anyways, so for me, based on those reasons, on that criteria is where I sort of sit and I come to the conclusion for a prediction that Arsenal could nick it by 2-1. Mikel Arteta is desperate to get just one over Pep Guardiola in terms of an actual piece of silverware, because really, okay, I know he beat him in the Community Shield of 2023, but that doesn't count as much. Oftentimes, I've seen English people describe it as a glorified friendly. I know he got one over him in the semi-finals of the FA Cup in 2020, but that was a semi-final. We are talking about a final where a piece of silverware in an actual trophy, other than the Community Shield, is on the line. So that's where I want to see it go. And, meanwhile, there's a huge possibility of this happening. For example, if Chelsea go through against Port Vale and Arsenal overcome Southampton, let's say Man City overcome Liverpool, there's a high chance of Arsenal playing Man City again or Chelsea again, just as much as there's a high chance Arsenal could play Liverpool again, because those three could be in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. And if that were to be the case, then obviously, unless there's an upset, either on Arsenal or on Chelsea, but with Man City against Liverpool, there's no upsets. Whoever wins it, wins it. Whoever wins it, wins it. So yeah, That is what is happening. So I think the Carabao Cup final, a lot of people are looking forward to that. Arsenal fans are as nervous as you could have them be. I don't know much about Manchester City fans because I do not know very many of them. There's a Manchester City fan I used to know back in the days when I lived in Mutungo, and I don't even remember his name. Oh, because we only watched games together at a certain spot in Mutungo. Then the other one I know is now in the United States, Byron. I don't know how he feels about the game. The other two I know, we've not spoken in a bit. I do not know what their feelings are about this final or their sentiments, what they are about the final. So I don't know, but I'm sure Manchester City fans must be thinking we must win this one because they also look at it as their chance to win a piece of silverware. You know, they look at it as a chance to win a piece of silverware, and the reason for that is simple. Is with them out of the UEFA Champions League, Arsenal having a 6-point lead against them in as far as the Premier League is concerned, it means that the FA and the Carabao Cup are the competitions where they have higher chances of winning it. So, for example, the Carabao Cup, as we speak, present day circumstance, they have 50% chance of winning it. The FA Cup, you could say they have maybe 25% chance. Why? The reason that's why I say 25% chance is because they have to overcome Liverpool, first of all, at the quarterfinals. So we're still at the quarterfinals. We still have the semifinals to go through. So I would put it at 25%. When it comes to the Premier League, I'd say there are chances at about anywhere between 18 and 20%. It's still a chance, and a big chance, by the way. Why? Because it's not in their hands. It's for Arsenal to lose to them. And if that were to be and the only way that happens is if Arsenal go and squander their games, really Manchester City keep winning. Because Arsenal need to lose at least 2 games, really City are winning for that to happen. You know? So you can see that the chances there are also minimal. So the Carabao Cup final, they are the final 50% chance. Arsenal have a 50% chance, you know. So how we progress in the game is what will dim those chances, is what will take it from a 50% for either Arsenal or Man City to a 40, to a 30, to a 20, to a 10%, and eventually to a 5% and up to a 0 when eventually, you know, we hear the final whistle. But like I was saying, Pep Guardiola has pedigree in this competition. He's won it. He won it for 4 consecutive seasons: 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. I think before being dethroned by Liverpool in 2022, then Man United in 2023, 2024 was Liverpool again, and then 2025 was Newcastle in that sort of run. So you can see how very uneasy it is, you know. So you can see how he has a pedigree on his side in terms of, you know, winning it. Yeah. And by the way, on both occasions, Liverpool to win it in 2024 and 2022, they beat Chelsea in both fixtures. Then 2017 was Man United under Mourinho. 2016 was Manchester City. They beat Liverpool. 2015 was Chelsea. They beat Spurs. 2014 was Man City. They beat Sunderland. Then Swansea won it in 2013. They beat Bradford City. Liverpool in 2012. Liverpool must be the most successful team in this competition. I think they've won it about, 9 times? Manchester City have won it 8 times. Wow. That's a whole lot. Aston Villa 5 times, Man United 6 times. Liverpool have won it 10 times. By the way, they are the highest winners of the competition. They've won it 10 times. So really, so Mikel Arteta has a jinx to break, a jinx of Arsenal not winning Carabao Cup finals because, like I've told you, they've lost the last three. So there's that jinx for him to break. Then they have it all to do. They really, really have it all to do. And then if Arsenal were to win, it means the world to them in terms of building their confidence of starting to win titles. Like I keep saying, it's the first cup competition that Pep Guardiola won in 2018 when in 2018 after he arrived at Man City, because his debut campaign, which was 2016-2017, he did not win anything. So it's the first competition he won. So I'm sure he takes it seriously, of course. So Mikel Arteta, if he wants to sort of build this Arsenal team that could go on to be dominant for a period of time, then he must be thinking, this was the starting point for my master. It should be as for me. Now, it does not necessarily mean that if, let's say, the Arsenal were to lose, we would see them crumble and not win the Premier League title. Maybe that's not the case, but it's a plus in terms of their confidence, because if they get this over the line, then they look over at the FA Cup and think to themselves, look here, guys, we're in the quarterfinals. We have Southampton. If we get to the semi-finals, it will be another trip back to Wembley. Anything can happen. We can give it a fight. In the Premier League, we have a 6 points ahead, and what we need to win at least 4 games and draw 3 in the remaining 7 games and win it. And not that they should play to draw any game, but they'll know that first of all, we have a hard against Bournemouth, win that, and then go to the Etihad Stadium. And by the way, whoever wins this final, it will have implications on the reverse fixture on the Premier League reverse fixture at the Etihad Stadium. So, there's that as well to bear in mind or to keep in consideration. Okay. So yeah, that's the context within which we have these games. We should expect the Carabao Cup final to come in. Remember, guys, on tomorrow is Sunday. We do not do a morning broadcast on Sunday, so do not expect to see me here in the morning for whatever reason whatsoever. So meanwhile, PSG have the third at long last. They have the third against the 10-man Nice. Draw is the goal scorer, DRO, draw. That was beautifully taken. In the bottom corner, Vitinha, sublime pass to Dembele, who provides the assist. Meanwhile, I wanted to digress back a bit to Liverpool. Liverpool have now lost 10 Premier League games, and they are the reigning champions of the Premier League. That does not look good on Arne Slot. And the more they lose, the more I think to myself that maybe Richard Hughes and his colleagues, at Liverpool or FSB, I think must be thinking to themselves, let's ride out the storm of the season and part ways with this guy. That's what I'm thinking. Unless Liverpool win a piece of silverware. If they win the FA Cup, well and good. If they can go on and win the UEFA Champions League, well and good. But if they are going to perform the way they perform today against Brighton, they may not have so big a chance against PSG. So think about that, because I do not think they will go into that fixture with the sort of confidence they went into it like they were last season. You know, the confidence from last season is no longer there. The Mohamed Salah effect is quite minimal or minute this season. So defending champions Liverpool are now mathematically out of the title race after their loss to Brighton with 7 games still to go. This makes them one of the worst defending champions in the Premier League history. You know, when you go back and watch the highlights from the 2018 Carabao Cup final, is when you realize how much it's changed. Arsene Wenger losing to Pep Guardiola by 3 goals to 0 with Mikel Arteta on the other side of the dugout as Pep Guardiola's assistant. In a team that had the likes of Shkodran Mustafi, I think it had the likes of Mesut Ozil, Granit Xhaka, Aaron Ramsey was still at the club. You know, so that sort of team. So they just did not compete well in that game. And this is an Arsenal side that I think a year prior in 2017 had won the FA Cup. I seem to remember Arsenal losing in that game to Man City around the same period. Oh, that season they lost to Man City 3 times. Home and away in the Premier League and in the Cup final. It's another goal for PSG. He literally walked that one in. Warren Zaire Emery. It's 4-0 to PSG with about 4 minutes left to get to the 90-minute mark. Meanwhile, Sevilla and Valencia, Valencia is still leading by 2 goals to 0. Hi, Raymond. How are you doing? Raymond Kangumba. Let's see. Leeds against Brentford. There's yet to be a breakthrough in that one. Game is into stoppage time. So we are waiting whether there will be a winner in that one. Doesn't look likely. It doesn't look likely. But Raymond says, hi, Newcastle United versus Sunderland derby game. Ed Howe loses the derby game tomorrow. Ed Howe gets sacked from Newcastle United now, and for Francesco Farioli gets appointed as manager. Raymond is of the preference that Francesco Farioli be the manager to take over at Newcastle should they decide to part ways with Ed Howe, for whom things have not really gone so well this season across board. So yeah. Leeds are really pressing in. Brentford are having to dig in to sort of defend this one. Still goalless, but Leeds being at home are pinging in Brentford. Oh, wow. So yeah, tomorrow action does continue in the Premier League. You have Newcastle against Sunderland in the Trainware Derby, Aston Villa against West Ham United, Tottenham Hotspurs against Nottingham Forest. So that's that. We also have Barcelona against Rayo Vallecano at 4 p.m. Then we also have Celta Vigo against Deportivo Aves. Athletic Bilbao will be up against Real Betis, and at 11 p.m. will be the Madrid derby. Tomorrow we have an 11 p.m. broadcast. So ensure not to miss it. Remember to be part of that conversation tomorrow. Let's see. I want this game to first end between Leeds United and Brentford before we call it a night. Because also the other games are coming to a close very soon. We're into the 80th minutes or so of those respective games. That's for the PSG game against Nice, while Sevilla against Valencia is around the 90th minute mark as well. PSG are not yet satisfied, still looking for that fifth goal and never get satisfied, do they? Don't tell me Brentford have won it. No way. Uh-oh. Usman Dembele kept out. Come on. Aha. Otherwise, for me, I'm looking forward to watching that Carabao Cup final. I'm looking forward to the matches, to the Madrid derby. That one is coming tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it all as well. I just hope I just pray it doesn't rain tomorrow. In fact, I need to find out what the weather forecast is going to be like tomorrow. Temperatures are expected to be around 25%. Sun, you know, looks like it will be dry. There's expectation of some light rain. Really? Then Monday, come on. Yeah, full-time score is goalless, 0-0 between Leeds and Brentford. So let's see. Only 2 minutes were added in the PSG game. That one is also soon coming to a close. And it's also soon coming to a close. Sevilla are still on. It's finished between PSG and Nice. Yeah, it's finished 4-0. That game has also finished. Juventus against Sassuolo ended in a 1-all draw. 5 minutes were added in this game between Valencia and Sevilla. But guys, allow me. Okay, let's see it out. Let's see it out. There's no harm. There's no harm in seeing it out. After all, there's only a couple of seconds, if not minutes, left to play. Let's see it out. Oh, wow. That was cheeky. Sevilla trying to search for consolation, but all in vain. Sevilla trying to search for consolation, but all in vain. Still eluding them. We are into the 94th minute. 5 minutes were added into that one. Oh, it's been 1 hour and a half through this broadcast. Wow. It's, uh, we're into the final minutes of this game between Sevilla and Valencia, so do not worry. But I want to say thank you so much, Raymond. Thank you so much, Kuna. Thank you so much, Ahmed, Abdul. Thank you so much, Daniel Tuton, Rickstar, LFC, the Rio Tals, the Rio, the Rio Tals. Then Singh, uh, Bagat Singh, as well as Morares. Thank you so much. It's all finished. Valencia nil, Sevilla 2. Very, very significant 3 points there for Valencia. They moved to 35 points, I think. So, yeah, beautiful result. Have a blessed night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. Bye bye for now.